We now return to Comic Showcase.
Number 5. The Hulk holds up a mountain.
Do you want to know why they call the Hulk the strongest one there is? I'll tell ya.
Several super strong villains like the Wrecking Crew were throwing huge objects at our heroes. Valiantly, they destroyed the objects, and the villain known as the Molecule Man got an interesting idea to get rid of our heroes, and impress his new lady friend Volcana at the same time. He was kind of insecure throughout this whole event, and wanted to earn her respect. Call it a crush, call it psychotic tendencies, call her an enabler for letting him do this kind of thing. Whatever. He just wants to impress her. So, he decides to drop an entire mountain range on our heroes while the other villains continue to throw all kinds of debris at them and distract them from the gigantic mountain overhead. I'm surprised no one noticed. Then again, Spidey was knocked out before his spider sense could warn him. Cap notices it, and before they can get away, the mountain drops on our heroes. Hard.
Looks like the story's over, kids. Let's go home.
Yeah, it clearly doesn't end here, despite the baddies being very pleased with themselves. And look, Volcano's really happy with the destruction. Lady, you are crazy. We find out a few pages later that our heroes did indeed survive the mountain being slammed onto them. How? Oh, nothing. Just have the Hulk hold up the whole thing. No big deal. Still, it looks like the Hulk is getting tired. How will our heroes hope to escape? Relax. MacGyver, Mr. Fantastic has got you covered. Using Spider-Man's web shooters and parts of Iron Man's armor, he formulates a plan to get through the rock. In the process, he angers the Hulk so that he could hold it longer, because the madder Hulk gets, the stronger Hulk gets. Reed has the Torch and Captain Marvel focus their energies into Iron Man's armor, and he blasts away out after hearing subtle taps from what is later revealed to be Thor's hammer. This moment makes the list because we learn just how strong the Hulk really is. The Hulk is, and forever will be, the strongest one there is. No questions asked. All it took was Reed egging on the poor guy. Maybe he really is MacGyver. At least no one ever again doubted why the Hulk was the strongest out of all the Marvel heroes. And it should be noted that Reed deliberately made him angry. Number 4. Doom goes cosmic and defeats the Beyonder.
Remember that huge battle with Galactus? Here's the end result.
When we last left Doom in number 8 of the countdown, he had absorbed the powers of Galactus, thanks to using Claw's hard sound body. Yes, I said that with a straight face, and I'm aware of how it sounds. You guys are so immature. Once Doom was souped up with cosmic powers, he decided to take his fight to the entity who brought them all to this patchwork world. Everyone storms the Citadel just in time to see Doom vanish, and Claw, who, by the way, is a severed head now, explains to Richards that Doom went off to challenge the Beyonder. Of course, Claw isn't exactly in his right mind at the moment. He hasn't been throughout this whole story. It has to do with him being beaten by Dazzler, a mutant who could turn sound into energy blasts.
I'd be driven crazy too if I was beaten by someone wearing bell-bottoms.
Doom arrives in the Beyonder's realm, and suddenly Battle-World trembles as a cosmic battle takes place. Doom sends a message to our heroes saying that the Beyonder is the true villain here, and he means to defeat him in the name of everyone in their universe. He offers to share his powers so that they can all defeat the entity, and Magneto steps forward to accept the gift. However, the others stop him, and Doom vanishes. The Beyonder goes over Doom's life history, and sees how he always wanted power, justice for his mother's soul, and his damaged face restored. Back on Battleworld, the base crumbles, and our friends head outside as a bright light fills the sky. Cap orders everyone to get ready for anything, as a form appears in the light, and issue 10 ends with the gigantic Dr. Doom, with the power of the Beyonder overlooking our heroes. This moment alone cements Doom as the end boss threat our heroes had to face. They had it easy with Galactus. Now they have to deal with mega super special awesome cosmic Doom. Number 3. Doom kills everyone with the power of the Beyonder.
We're entering the top 3. Here's where things get real.
Once giant-sized Doom confronts the heroes, He says the war is over. Everyone can go home. His fellow villains aren't too keen on the idea of just leaving. They want to fight, and Doom demonstrates his great power by giving them all a sound beating. Molecule Man attempts to fight Doom, and he whisks him away to another plane of reality. There, he lifts the mental block on his powers and sends him on his way, for he no longer has any need of henchmen. He returns with more power than ever, and decides to get that suburb of Denver back to Earth, and brings all the baddies along for the ride. Isn't that nice? Cap and the others, though, wonder what they're going to do about Doom, and hold a huge meeting to discuss the former tyrant and his apparent godlike powers. Wasp wonders if Doom has finally turned over a new leaf, and if he genuinely wants to help his mother's soul get away from the Dark Lord of Evil, Mephisto. Captain America believes that however humane and enlightened Doom has become, freedom to do what Doom allows is not freedom. He still wonders if they should accept Doom at his word when he says he wouldn't cause any trouble. Reed says that they need to convince Doom to give up the power, because no human can ever hope to contain it, and after all, absolute power corrupts absolutely. They then put it to a vote. Do they do nothing and go home? Or do they fight Doom one last time with the chance that they might all die?
Yikes. Talk about voting under pressure.
The assembled heroes unanimously decide to sacrifice themselves. If only the Senate worked this efficiently when things like this are on the line. The last holdout is Colossus of the X-Men, and he has reservations as he's been getting cozy with a local alien healer named Zaji during this whole story. All eyes are on Colossus, as he alone must make the call, as Cap discusses how they might not make it. Colossus says that he finally found happiness, and totally forgets about his girlfriend Kitty Pryde back on Earth. He sighs and says, yes, they should fight. In the end, everyone dies as a result, and this splash page makes for a great cliffhanger. Number 2. Everyone returns and beats Doom.
Oh, don't worry, they're only mostly dead.
Yep, they're totally fine. Yeah, Earth's mightiest heroes are only mostly dead. They'll be back any page now. Marvel wouldn't kill all of them this brazenly. Come on now. Oh, hey, it's that Lady Colossus light. Maybe Zaji can help save them. I hope. I mean, she is a healer after all. Doom revels in his victory over Earth's heroes, and his minion Claw praises him. However, he later says that it's possible he slipped because there is a way the heroes might have lived.
You speak nonsense, minion. Doom does not need to check to see if his plans worked out perfectly, for he is Victor Von Doom. Doom! I am Groot.
He's going to eat those words in a few pages, as Claw relates the tale how they might have survived using sound-based holograms. It seemed that Zaji found Colossus, who, again, was only mostly dead. I guess maybe his armored form made him less damaged or something. However, healing him took all of her life force, and she ended up dying in the process. That's unfortunate. Quickly, Colossus finds Reed's body in the rubble, and heals him using a machine he saw him use once before. Reed then gathers all of the heroes and heals them in a similar cellular regeneration pod system. Claw then exclaims that they're all coming this way. Doom, of course, doesn't believe him and argues with his minion. Their argument is interrupted by Thor's hammer smashing through the wall. Oh, that is so sweet. Sorry, I was distracted by how awesome that panel was. Where was I? Oh yeah. Doom quickly loses control over his powers and makes a break for it while Claw generates some hard energy beings for the group to fight. As they are fighting, Captain America makes his way to Doom.
Doom's gonna quake in fear now.
Doom is still losing control of his cosmic powers as he's rightfully freaked out over Cap's resurrection. He shoots energy blasts at the Captain, and miraculously, he still lives. It seems the Beyonder isn't as defeated as Doom believed, as there's another battle taking place inside him. Strange forces prevent Cap from dying again, as Doom reverts back to his human form. Claw rushes to Doom's aid as it turns out the Beyonder was in control of his body for a while, and tricked Doom into lowering his guard during Claw's story of how the heroes survived. In a brilliant flash of light, Doom, Claw, and the Beyonder vanish, and thus ends the Secret Wars, and everyone but the Thing go home after Zaji, their savior, is buried. I picked this moment because the heroes returned despite the odds being against them, defeated Doom, and paid their last respects to a woman who pretty much helped to save the universe before heading home. That is how you end an epic crossover. And the number one awesome moment from the Secret Wars is Spidey gets his alien costume. You knew this was coming. I couldn't leave out the most iconic moment of the Secret Wars, now could I? This is it. This is the moment that changed Spider-Man's life forever. Spidey gets a costume change. It all started innocently enough. Spidey's costume was ripped in battle, and there was no one around to fix the suit. He saw his fellow heroes walk around with new costumes, and Spidey asked, "Hey, how'd you guys get new looks?" The Hulk says that there's a machine that makes clothes. Pete gladly goes into the room and asks the Green Goliath which machine it was. Before the Hulk could answer, he says one random machine looks like it will make a costume for him.
Sure it will. What was that?
Peter concentrates and a black blob emerges. This sets off his spider sense, and before he knows it, he is covered in a black and white costume that was inspired by the new Spider-Woman's costume. Soon he finds that he can control the costume at will, and Reed offers to check out the costume for him if they ever make it back to Earth. Pete says sure, and remains unaware of the horror he will unleash later throughout the rest of the Secret Wars. To make matters worse for the webhead, he later finds everyone using a costume-making machine, and asks if theirs do any tricks since his changes shape and provides webbing. They said they didn't as they were just clothes. Pete then wonders why his does, and quickly says, "Oh well. That's not gonna come back and bite you later, Spidey." Hindsight or not, this is the moment that went on to change the course of Spidey's life. Nothing was ever quite the same again, and when people think of the Secret Wars, they think of this scene.
These moments and others make the Secret Wars a very memorable crossover event. Let's take a closer look at it and its legacy that continues to this very day.
I can't tell you enough how awesome this limited series was. It held up when I first read it in the early 90s, and still holds up today. You would think that having a ton of heroes and villains would clutter up the story. That's not really the case here. Every hero had a chance to shine. Every villain did something that made you want to root for the good guys. It was a well-crafted tale spread out over a dozen comics, and not once did I feel like it was rushed, cluttered, or clunky. If you want to make a crossover event spanning your entire line, this is the best way to do it. Marvel accomplished what they set out to do when they created the story. The toys may not have done as well as they had hoped. That's okay. I think they accomplished something more than any mere toy line could have ever done. They set the stage for how to properly have an event comic that changed the universe. And once our heroes and villains returned to Earth from the Secret Wars, you can believe that things were never the same again. And Marvel actually meant it. This is why the crossover remains one of the most popular comic events of all time, because of how the story changed our heroes, and laid the groundwork for stories to be told for years to come. The amazing thing was that while this event was happening, the titles our heroes were in didn't stop for a year. Once they left for Battleworld, they came back the next month, changed, and readers were left wondering what happened. Spidey was suddenly in a black costume. She-Hulk was suddenly a member of the Fantastic Four. The Avengers formed a West Coast team. What happened, readers would ask. The answer was in the miniseries itself. You didn't have to follow along with the series itself, of course, as the stories often explained the situation. You just knew that something epic happened, as characters would reference it here and there. This caused readers to find out the answers to their questions by buying the book itself. There were no tie-ins, just subtle nods that said, you might want to pick up the Secret Wars just in case you're confused. That was pretty good marketing until the 90s kind of went into overdrive with the concept of tie-ins and such. Regardless of whether or not it was a good idea to go with that method, you cannot deny that this crossover changed the landscape of the universe the heroes inhabited. For starters, without the Secret Wars, there would never have been a Venom or a Carnage today. And that was only the tip of the iceberg. Many crossovers tried to duplicate the Secret Wars' success, and even a sequel was made in the following year. It, didn't do well, and eventually Marvel had to relearn what made a good company-wide crossover event, because it wasn't long after Secret Wars 2 that work began on epics such as the Evolutionary War, Atlantis Attacks, and the Infinity Gauntlet. To compete with Marvel's Secret Wars, DC even created Crisis on Infinite Earths to reboot their entire line of comics for the first time. That was a pretty daring move on their part.
Oh, DC and Marvel. Will you ever settle your differences and work together? Someday. Someday I'm gonna review that.
At least both Crisis on Infinite Earths and Marvel's Secret Wars both stand tall even today. Over the years, Marvel would have both good and bad crossover events, and everyone would always remember the Secret Wars being the one that started it all. Writers, if you want to change your universe for better or for worse, just look to the Secret Wars to see what worked, and you will definitely have a hit.
And that, my friends, was my look at... Wait. I'm getting a message from the future. Marvel's doing what?
It looks like Marvel is going to revisit the concept of the Secret Wars in 2015, almost 30 years after the series ended. This time around, Marvel plans on having every crossover event happen at once, on yet another patchwork world made up of different realities. Details are sketchy at the time of this video, though I really dig that pic of Spidey with MJ and a daughter. I can't even process this right now. Happy 30th anniversary, Secret Wars. Marvel, don't screw this up.
As you can see, history has a way of repeating itself. Still, it's always good to see just how well crossovers can be done in the right hands. Based on a toy line or not, Marvel's Superhero Secret Wars is definitely worth checking out. So, check it out today.
Chris!
Brian?
Chris, we have to go back!
Back where? I was going to see about lifting the curse of the Bambino 20 years early.
Back to the future! It's the X-Men, Chris! Something has to be done about the X-Men!
Looks like I'm in for another adventure.